Lunch Money Lambert, Jeff Malott. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
Is that a gun?
What's up there?
Somebody's shooting up the club here.
That's how we do it. That's how you come into the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. We got guns and fishing going on apparently over there. What's going on, Ryan?
I don't know, man. Dodging bullets out here in Texas. Floodwaters, gators, bullets, whole deal.
Everybody's safe. Yeah, man, what a weekend. Got to hang out with Ryan a little bit this weekend. We had a good time down at Sam Rayburn. Both of us put up, I'd say, respectable finishes. We didn't do what we wanted to do and cash checks, but we hung in there, caught a lot of fish, and had a good time. What did you think about the weekend, man?
I had a blast. You know, I was worried about it going in as far as like water conditions and whatnot, but you know, it made it really fun to be in a kayak tournament out there because you could launch almost anywhere, and there were so many fish in that lake. I mean, it was freaking stacked with fish. Yeah,
insane. I didn't know what to expect when we heard floodwaters. I was glad they were putting it on anyway, but I expected chocolate milk and debris everywhere, and it was basically like a full bathtub. There's clear water all over the place, and not really a lot of debris to speak of. It was great fishing.
Chris Mark says your normal smooth voice is slightly distorted tonight.
Really?
That's what he said.
All right, my bad, bro.
I'm gonna trust him.
Well, I'll do what we can. I'll do what I can here to try to fix that as we go. We got a big show. We've got two winners. Brian Scarberry, of course, that won the Rayburn event that we were at, and then I didn't really pay attention to what was going on up north because we were fishing, but the St. Clair event, the KBF back-to-back events, holy cow, we got Brandon Bissell on here who actually absolutely hammered them back-to-back 100-inch limits, so we'll get him on here too. We're going to talk to both those guys, but first we kind of wanted to recap the weekend. We had some wild stuff go down that we got to witness over the weekend. What do we want to talk about? I don't even know where we want to start.
Let's start with, so I arrived at Sam Rayburn at the house that I'm staying with, and one of the house guests hits me with a confession. He admitted that he was the gentleman we were scouring the earth for at Dardanelle, the infamous canal blocker. And turns out he was not in a yellow Hobie with a giant Razorback sticker on it at all. But he did say he would like to come on KBN as a guest and tell his side of the story. So I'm not going to drop the name. We're going to have him on as a guest. We'll do a little segment and let him tell what it was like from his side. It's very interesting.
Okay. Well, I think I've fixed my audio. We'll see. Let me know in the comments if it's any good.
It's still breaking up. I'll tell you now.
It is? Okay.
It is. Well, it's all right. It's fine.
It's all right. We're gonna let you carry the convo then, Ryan, as I work on it.
What's your buddy that hung out with us?
We learned a new face in the community that is a awesome and hilarious guy. I wasn't sure what to expect because he's from here, but Billy Bowden.
Billy Bowden
set the bar for us. It was entertaining, to say the least, wasn't it, Ryan?
The guy is like, he's a character, man. I don't think we stopped laughing any night that he was around, which happened to be every night. He definitely became one of the road crew there for sure. He's very entertaining. He taught us a new saying. We have T-shirts available online now. WDO, wide dick open. Apparently, that's a saying somewhere in Arkansas. Like, I'm just going wide dick open, and Billy taught us that, and I'm very, very thankful that he did.
According to Billy, that's something everybody says, even though I've never heard it before.
Except
but
no
now
one.
everybody's going to say it, and I think it can be used as both a noun, verb, and maybe an adjective, all three at the same time.
It's super catchy and useful, I think.
Yeah. So we had a little side bet going that anyone in our house that placed in the money had to use that in their description of the tournament, but it didn't work. So nobody cashed check in our house. So Edwin,
I think that's why
did.
Ewing threw the tournament. Ewing had the bag. He had a 110-inch bag. He just didn't want to throw it up, so he didn't have to say that.
Yeah. So it was hilarious, funny night. There was some more stuff that went on. I mean, I'm trying to find the picture. I cannot find it. But did everyone see the two-handed fish pick? Two hands on the fish.
Gosh, it's in our group chat. But that was weird. So I think it was Mark Pendergraft that threw it up in there, and I was like trying to figure out what was wrong. I was looking at the tail to make sure it was good. I was looking at the mouth to make sure it was good, and I was like, man, both his hands are like not covering. And I was like, wait a minute. If both his hands are on the fish, how did he take the picture? And then
Did we ever figure that
out? Someone was helping him. I think somebody said it was like his first tournament or something that was like a PB or whatever. And he had a third party over the shoulder the job and take the pick. And that, that kind of brings into question, is that assistance? Is that somebody, I mean, obviously somebody helping you in the tournament. So I don't know where that falls.
Yeah, let's see if I can throw it up here real quick. There it is. Looky there. Two hands on the pick. It's like a magic act.
Oh man, that was good. That was fun. And then we had kind of a strange, like ominous post made about the Lake St Clair tournament that multiple DQs were coming, and I don't know where the multiple was. I did hear of one, and when we had the winner on, I want to ask him about what he thinks happened there or whatever. But that was another thing that kind of busted out on us this weekend.
Was it crossing into international waters, or what was this?
It was, yeah. So that was the thing that apparently this guy was reported for, and if sources are correct, it was none other than Border Patrol Officer Joe Kamyat that busted this guy in international waters, and was kind enough to report him to the authorities. But when the guy pulled up his graph, you can see just one line, like he literally drifted across the border and right back to all his squiggles, and dude turned him in for that. So that's cool.
Nice. Spot burner and Border Patrol agent. Way to go.
Amazing.
Good
Amazing.
job, man. Big weekend, man. And I'm excited to get both these guys in here and talk to them. Brian, of course, because he fished the lake we fished. Then Brandon, what he did up on St. Clair was amazing. Back-to-back dubs and back-to-back 100 inches on big smallies.
That's nasty.
I looked at his limits. He had 9 out of 10 over 20 inches in his 2 days. Dreams
cool.
are made of
That's
that.
cool.
So let's stop messing around and get them boys in here. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll be right back, y'all.
Welcome to the Kayak Nation.
KBN Live is brought to you by Western Sun Vodka. Western Sun Vodka is a 10 times distilled, award-winning, gluten-free vodka. They are independently owned and crafted in Pilot Point, Texas.
Welcome to the Kayak Nation.
All right, we're back. Welcome to KBN Live. Brian Scarberry and Brandon Bissell, thanks for taking the time, boys. I know both y'all are beat, probably like we are. Maybe still riding the adrenaline, I don't know, but thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Thank you very much. But I just want to say, did you say 9 out of 10 fish was over 20 inches?
Yeah, it was a pretty incredible day. Or I should say 2 days. I had a 19.75 I couldn't get rid of on Sunday, no matter how hard I tried.
That was your smallest fish, was 19.75.
Yeah, 19.75 on
What a
Sunday was my
trash
small
fish.
one.
Gosh.
Yeah, garbage.
Yeah.
How could you do that to us, man? We needed 10-20.
I try. I'm sorry to let the team down.
We got to be clear that he
awesome.
was the one
Awesome.
that he was the one not fishing in Texas.
That's right. That,
Yeah,
everybody,
right.
You think of 100-inch limits, everybody's like, oh, he's got to be in Texas,
everybody hearing Sam Rayburn. Sam Rayburn, 200 inches to win, and then you peak up there, and he's got 100 both days. Matter of fact, I think the first and second had over 100 on day one or something like that. Is that right, Brandon?
Yeah, both days. I think on day one I had 101.5, and Tyler had 101 even. On day two I had 102, and Cole Garland, which Tyler and Cole are both great guys. I think Cole had 100 even on day two. So there were some big fish caught. I think big fish of the 2 days over the weekend was a 21.75. So there's some good fish turned in this weekend.
It's a solid brown fish for sure.
Were those all smallmouth?
Yeah, there were some guys that flirted around fishing for some largemouth. Pretty easy to get 85 or so inches largemouth at will on St. Clair, but you're not going to do much better than that.
Yeah, that's silly.
Well, let's
Don't
get into
do
both these.
that.
Let's get into both these events. I know we'll do a little home cooking since Brian was in the one we fished. We'll start with him first. Is that all right?
That sounds good.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about it. I mean, Ryan and I were there. Both of us caught a lot of fish, but we obviously didn't stumble on the right fish. So tell us a little bit about what you found and how you made it hold up over 2 days.
Well, I guess I'll start with I got there on Friday at like 9:30 in the morning. So I kind of knew I didn't want to go to the banks. Everybody that I talked to was just like, I'm gonna flip bushes. So which when it floods, that's what you think you're gonna do. And I knew people were gonna do well up there, but I really wanted to find something on that old bank line. A lot of the lakes that I fish in South Texas, they go through these normal cycles of being real low for a long time and then getting flooded. And so my experiences on Amistad and Choke and Falcon kind of led me to think that, maybe after 2 weeks of being this high, some fish are going to start moving back out to that old bank line. And so I just scouted that, tried to figure out, where they were positioned on there. And sure enough, I found them right between the hay grass and the hydrilla. And I could see them on the live scope really well. They come out, go back in. Caught some good fish in practice on spinner baits and rattle traps, and just trying to cover water and fine tune it a little bit. But tournament day came around and they kind of changed their tone a little bit. The bite on the spinnerbait and rattle trap was not even close to what it was on Friday. So I had to kind of finesse it a little bit with a ribbon tail worm. I was seeing them, they were kind of sitting up above that hay grass, and that hay grass had kind of floated up about 4 or 5 feet off the bottom. So that ribbon tail, would kind of be down in the grass most of the time. And I feel like most of the fish were up on top. But they didn't want to eat chatterbait. They didn't want to eat spinnerbait, rattle trap, nothing like that. So I started just swimming that ribbon tail just right over the tops of the grass and just ticking the little tops of the grass. And that's where those big ones would come from, is doing that. It was few and far between. It wasn't hot and heavy, but I knew that was how I was going to catch those bigger ones. So that worked out.
Yeah. Sam will throw up the leaderboard. Day one, you were in 7th place, 86.25 inches. And no offense to you, but everybody was talking about Eric Siddiqui and Brian Howe and Guillermo's up top. And you were just kind of creeping down there with 86.25. You know what I mean? Did you
laying
feel
in the
pretty
weeds?
good? Yeah, laying in the weeds, literally. Were you feeling pretty good about day two? Like it was going to reload or even get better?
I actually was, yeah, because day two I didn't really. There was one point where I caught the 219s on day one, and I actually broke off one. I broke it off and then it jumped, and it was over 20. And so I knew there had to be more like that in that spot. It was, deeper, offshore a little bit. So I knew if I went back and just focused on that ribbon tail bite, I had a chance at putting a pretty big limit on the board. I kind of was hoping for over 100, but it didn't happen. But I actually made one little adjustment on Sunday that I think actually made a difference. Was that first one that I caught was that 22 and a half. And when I got her in the boat, she had a big red claw sticking out of her throat. And so I had tried red rattle traps, Rayburn red. That's what everybody talks about. So I had tried that, and like I said, I think they were just a little bit off still out there. It's Rayburn. Those fish just get beat on, even though they've had a pretty good break. I think they're just still conditioned a little bit. So I actually had a red flipping jig, and I put a green pumpkin Ultra Vibe speed crawl on the back of that, the Magnum Ultra Vibe, and just started swimming that. And I mean, within 5 casts, I had another, I think it was a 21, and then I had that 19. So I think, making that little adjustment on Sunday made a difference. And then I was able to fill my limit out with the ribbon tail and the swim jig. I was just kept cycling between those two baits. And I had that smallest one was, I think, 16 and a quarter. And I tried everything I could to call that one out. And it just never worked out.
Yeah, pretty fish. Did any of your fish have any of those sores on them? I haven't pulled the pictures up yet. Ryan never catch.
No, man, they were all beautiful. Yeah. This one actually had a little
rough.
Yeah.
No, this one actually had that orange area on her lip, and I've never seen a bass with that before. That orange coloration. I don't know if that's from the crawfish or what, but I saw a picture of another. I think it was Jeff Isham's 24. Had a lot of orange on her too.
Gosh, that was freaking huge fish.
There it is. It just happened to be there. Mondo.
Yeah, giant.
So,
and he was doing something completely different. He was out there fishing big lay down pine trees, kind of on the main lake. So it was really interesting to see the multiple different patterns. I think a lot of the top guys were kind of doing all different stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan and I, and Ryan can confirm this or not. He's kind of freezing up there. We fished out deep. I fished the main lake on 15 to 20 feet deep most of day 1 and day 2, and he fished 30 feet on day 1, I think, and he can confirm that if he wants to.
Yeah, I was out there. On like a main lake point, and I was it was a huge school, but it was mostly spots. But I caught a couple of nice largemouth out of it pre-fishing. And I caught some largemouth out of it on day 1, but it was like a 17 and a half and a 15 instead of like a 22 and a 19. So I sat on it all day because I was so far out. I had pretty much stuck myself. After about 1 o'clock, there wasn't an opportunity to make a move. It would have taken so long to get back and load up. So that's kind of what I did on day 1. But day 2, I did the opposite, and I was super shallow. And I was catching the grass in people's yards. That was the pattern. It had to be a yard that ran all the way down and had weeds growing up. I caught a couple off a chain link fence with this dude sitting on the back porch. It was hilarious. They were everywhere.
That's awesome.
He's on that garden gnome.
I would have loved. I would have loved to get on like a frog bite up there in that stuff, but I actually tried to go up in there on Saturday, and I got stuck because I was throwing a frog. My frog got stuck on a root system, and then there was a pine tree laying across the openings, so I couldn't get my pro angler up over that log. I sat there and tried for probably 10 or 15 minutes, and I couldn't get up over it, so I had to cut my line and actually go out and around to go get my frog back. Wow. So those guys that spent all day back up in that stuff, I commend them because I know that was a lot of work.
I feel like that timber was never ending. You could just keep going and never find the bank almost in some of those spots.
For sure.
Wow.
You see the question from Larry Hill?
Yeah, let me throw that on here. We got a question from the crowd. Brian, did you stay in one general area on day 1 and 2, or did you have to move around to keep finding fish?
So day 1, most of my fish came off of about an 80-yard stretch, but I moved around a lot. I didn't want to commit to that because I had a feeling there was just something else that I could have been doing. So I kept kind of, wandering off and going somewhere else, and then I would come right back and I would catch fish in that spot again. So Sunday I just said, I'm not moving. I'm staying right here. And so Sunday I probably didn't go more than 80 yards all day.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a really small window. The 2 big fish I caught on Saturday and the 3 big fish I caught on Sunday were all between 9 and 11. Like I said, it wasn't hot and heavy, but I didn't catch anything early and I didn't catch anything late. It was that little window. And that was, I was catching fish before and after that, but nothing over like 17 and a half. All those big ones were in that little window.
Interesting. I mean, we were worried the lake was not going to fish well, but that was not the case at all. Obviously, it was full and flooded and made for, I guess, confusing conditions. You could catch them almost anywhere, but catching the right ones was the part that you had to figure out. So,
yeah,
it was,
a lot of guys were fishing the area that I was in, and talking to a lot of them when we got back on Friday, they all said the same thing. Caught a lot of fish, but nothing over 17. And so that's what really kind of pushed me to just focus on trying to figure out how to catch those fish in that hay grass, because I could see them on that live scope. I knew they were good fish. There wasn't a lot of them, but every once in a while you'd see a giant come up out of that hay grass and look around for a minute and go back down in it. So I said, I got to figure this out. I'm either gonna, figure it out or bust, So.
Yeah.
I've got to go buy a live scope now after, Ewing wore him out on Seminole with it. He did it again at Hartwell. You've clearly just done that to us at Sam Rayburn. A couple guys that I've got here at the house with me now have been stroking them pretty good on live scope too. So I can't fight it anymore. I'm gonna have to run down and pick up.
Yeah.
It was very. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'll say Ewing caught an 8.5 pounder on his live scope during practice and said he lost a 9 or 10 pounder. So it's definitely a weapon if you know what you're doing.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no, when I bought it, I started using it and I was like, man, this thing sucks. And I've known a lot of people that buy it and use it and they're like, no, it sucks. But it's a learning curve. Once you get a good feel for it, and I really think everyone uses it a little bit differently to fit their style. I don't use it to target individual fish as much as some of the other guys that I know. I use it mostly to scan in front of me as I'm working a bank, because there's so many times where you're going along and, without the live scope, you have to go over something to know that it was there. And I think a lot of these fish, they don't eat as well if you paddle over them. Our kayaks are obviously a lot quieter than a bass boat, but those fish finders are pretty noisy. And I think that was also one thing that I was doing at Rayburn is I was making super long casts. I mean, just as long as I could possibly make, and every fish that I caught that mattered was at the end of a long cast. I didn't catch any big fish close to me at all. So I think that was a big part of it too, staying out or away from everything.
Awesome.
That's smart. I'm going to say we've heard enough about these greenfish. I don't care anything about them. Brandon, tell us about big brown ones.
Yeah, pivot over to Brandon.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's go to the north and talk.
It was a fun weekend. I'll say that much.
Yeah, man. Let me see. I got Dave.
Are those Dogecoin behind you? What is that?
You got to put them on display when you get them, right?
I know. I use them as coasters.
Well, maybe one day I'll have as many as you.
No, I don't have many. I have one. I quit. So you definitely have more of those than I will. I promise.
Yeah, man. I just want to first before we do anything, let's talk about that boat you're in there, sir. What kind of boat you in there, buddy?
Yeah, so I'm running Old Town Sportsman, a 120 PDL.
Right.
I liked it. I got wet this weekend. Not the boat's fault, but Lake St Clair, we have a phenomena called St Clair rough. You can have the calmest conditions in the world, and you'll still have 3-footers on the lake. It is a pleasure boater's dream. They all run, obviously not on pad, plowing as much water as possible. So it can be the calmest day with the winds light and variable, and you'll feel like you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. But that's why there's a little bit of standing water in the yak there, trying to measure fish while taking big waves is always fun. But sometimes that little artificial current and waves you get out there can turn on something special. And pre-fishing was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. I text the individual who took number 2, Tahir Ali. I told him before day 1, I'll be lucky if I get 93, 95 inches, man. I found a small pot of fish. 18, 19 inches. I know it's not going to get it done. A little kind of prerequisite to this tournament. Back in April for the Topwater Elite Series, it's a 2-day high payout event that we have here in Michigan. On day 2, I put up 103.25 inches on St. Clair. So everyone's kind of sending me texts, hey, we're going to repeat this time. And after day 1, after pre-fishing, I truthfully didn't think I was going to touch 100 inches. But you know how it goes. Everything kind of changes a little bit on tournament day. You spend a little bit more time fishing a little more thoroughly, put your head down and fish, and you start piecing it together a little bit. And that's what we did, and we found some pretty nice fish there on day 1 and 2.
Man, every tournament I've had this year, if I had a really, really good practice, the tournament day was terrible.
Right.
And then Rayburn comes around and I got, 6 hours of practice and didn't really feel very good. And same thing you said. It's just, it's kind of funny how that works. It's almost like you get a little humble pie every once in a while when you get a little too confident in practice.
Yeah,
exactly. You got to
right.
pay the karma fairy. I think you have to.
Yeah.
You got to take a few beatings before you get a good one in.
Yeah.
What was your pattern?
This year's been rough.
Obviously, St. Clair's known for like rock piles and road beds and that kind of thing. Were you on like finesse bite, or were you kind of like fish moving baits, power fishing a little bit, or what were you on?
So a little bit of mix, man. Pretty much everything I threw, I caught fish on. I wanted to cover water. We're in kind of a weird transition right now. You have some fish post spawn. You got quite a few fish post spawn. You still have some fish spawning sporadically, and depending on where you go, there's probably still pre-spawners out there somewhere where the colder river is or something. But I wanted to cover water because I didn't feel like I was on the winning fish. And Saturday morning, the first thing I picked up was a 1/2-ounce white spinnerbait, and my first fish of the morning was 20.25. And when it hit the net, I was like, okay, you immediately go from, all right, this isn't going to be a great tournament to now we need 4 more and we have something special. So it was pretty good. It was pretty fun. I had a lot of fish would come up and swipe at a spinnerbait. I'd be burning it below the surface. I'd see them come up. I'd lose the blades. You just lose the vibration. Fish come up, swipe at it. Hurry up, get the spinnerbait in, follow up with a drop shot, follow up with a Ned rig, and before the bait would hit bottom, you'd be hooked up. Swim bait, caught some fish when they seemed to be reluctant to take spinnerbait, but I'd say probably the 1/2-ounce white spinnerbait and pick your favorite drop shot bait is what won the tournament for me.
Wow.
And
that sounds like a blast.
the fish that wanted it, and I kid you not, man, and it's something you got to experience. When a Lake St. Clair smallmouth wants a spinnerbait, you better be holding on. I got bruises on my side right now from setting the hook on those fish. It's a blast. You're sore, tired. It's 7-hour drive for me. I live up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So I got home last night, 1:15 a.m. Had to go to work. So I woke up this morning before 5 a.m. to head to work. So just a few hours of sleep last night, but that's the grind of the weekend kayak angler, right?
That's the way. Or you drive straight to Possum Kingdom like Ryan and go fish in the floods.
What an idiot! don't advise it.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I'll put this offer out there. I live up in the Upper Peninsula, right? We got big smallmouth up here. I'll take someone out up here. I'll take someone out on St. Clair. If you guys put me on some big old largemouth down there in Texas, Louisiana, Florida, wherever it's at, My PB
Sounds good,
smallmouth
man.
obviously is bigger than my PB largemouth, so I'd like to flip that around.
Yeah, we can probably fix that pretty easily anywhere down south, I would think. I'd like to get up there and play with smallmouth though. I mean, we've got 100-inch bags in Tennessee on the rivers, but I want to get on a lake and catch them like that. I'm used to having to to cover 12 miles running the river to get a good bag.
Right. That's
I think
it's like a 200. It was like a 200-yard spot back in April on St. Clair where I caught my 103 1/4-inch bag. I was boat flipping 19-inch fish, tossing them back without putting them on a board. That's the kind of bag that we were on up there. So it was it was pretty fun back in that tournament. I had kind of a lackluster day one. I think I had 88 inches and followed it up day two with 103 1/4. And so I was looking forward to this St. Clair tournament too, or these two St. Clair tournaments.
I bet you were.
I've got a little bit of experience on St. Clair, even though I live so far away. I used to live down in that area, but it's a fun lake, man. I recommend it. Anybody who can come up here and experience it. April, May is the time to do it. This time of year gets a little tough. Then the fish get in their summer pattern, and it starts getting good again.
And explain how St. Clair's set up.
Sounds
We'll
tough.
lead into the next part here, but half of St. Clair is Canadian waters, right? And you can't
Correct.
fish the Canadian side until X date, which I'm sure you'll tell us because but I don't.
Yep.
Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so I would say topography-wise, the closest lake to Lake St. Clair is Lake Okeechobee down in Florida. It's just a bowl. There's not a ton of depth changes. It's typically just a gradual. Make sure my phone's not dying. 7%. It's just a gradual depth change most of the lake. But as you mentioned, the shipping channel basically cuts directly out of the south channel of the Lake St. Clair River and runs almost directly across the lake down to the Detroit River. On a typical year, Canadian waters, their bass season opens up, I believe it's the third Saturday in June, which is ironically the same time our catch and keep bass season opens up for Lake St. Clair in Michigan. So right now, if you're fishing a boat tournament on St. Clair, it's a paper tournament. Catch and keep for St. Clair doesn't even open up until 2 weekends from now. But yeah, and Canada's got just as good, if not better, fishing than, especially in the summer, than what the U.S. produces. It's an incredible fishery. There's rock, there's weeds, current related structure, a lot of sand. I was focusing on transitions where it went from sand to rock to weeds, rock to gravel. I mean, just any kind of transition is where I was finding my fish.
Well, clearly it worked, and I've always heard the Canadian side when it opens, fish is pretty good because those fish haven't been messed with for months, so they're just kind of there chilling out, waiting to eat something.
Yeah, exactly.
So there
right.
was
They
a little
don't beat them up
controversy
over
that
there.
we had posted, and it involved Canadian waters. Do you know what actually happened? We had, like I said, we had kind of a vague post that was put on here. A bunch of people are going to get DQ'd or whatever. I only heard of one guy that got DQ'd. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding. I don't know the 100% ins and out of it. We did our weigh-ins award ceremonies at Lake St. Clair Metro Park. We had 90-degree days, bright sun, and this is the largest park in the greater Detroit area. The line to get into the park was about 4 miles long. They had cops directing people. You guys can come this way. You guys go that way. Yes. So you got two roads.
Why did you have your weigh in there?
It's one of the only areas. Yeah, it's one of the only areas that's conducive to have so many people. But unfortunately, the logistics of getting in made it really tough. But so I didn't.
White Castle are up there. You can meet up in the parking lot or something. What kind of
Yeah,
burger?
I think we got a couple. But
Okay.
but yeah, it was. So I didn't get to the weigh-in probably. Or I keep saying weigh-in. I'm so used to bass boat tournaments.
We know what you mean. We call it that too. A link fin.
Yeah.
We learned that
The
term.
link fin.
Yeah, there we go.
Learned
LinkedIn.
that term
I like
this
it.
weekend as well.
Yeah. YDO, right? Or WDO.
Yes.
I can say for certain I've never heard it up here, but that's,
No one has.
that's a good one.
Worldwide.
But yeah,
now.
so I didn't show up. We were supposed to be there at 4:30. I probably didn't get there till like 5 something. So everything that had happened had already happened. I do know that a lot of good fishing this time of year. the fish will spawn up shallow, and then they'll move out to that shipping channel area. So a lot of good rock piles and where those post-spawn fish will congregate are typically right along the shipping channel. I don't know if it was that type of situation or what exactly happened. I can't speak for the angler himself, but I do know a lot of boats this time of year are fishing right along that line, because once those fish pull out, that's where the young of the year perch are. That's where a lot of gobies are. That's kind of where they'll relax until they start going full summertime pattern.
Well, day one you did what you did, but day two you backed it right up. KBF does something a little bit different. It's not a 2-day tournament; it's 2 one-day tournaments. Right. But you went ahead and just backed it right up with even more inches on day two. Did you go right back to the same fish?
It was pretty much the same area where I basically explored a different part of the same flat, some of those different transition areas. Basically, I got lucky and stumbled across that 21 and a quarter on day two. That one kind of changed the complexion of the day for me, just because that's when it hit the drop shot and you set the hook into it and it goes zzz. I was like, well, this is either a sheephead or this is a big smallmouth. And then it answered that question pretty quickly when it come about 4 foot out of the air. And when it hit the net is when I realized, okay, this is a good fish. And like I said, kind of tongue in cheek, had that 19.75, but I tried like heck to get rid of it. 18-incher, 18-incher, 17-incher, 18-incher, and just couldn't get rid of it the last 2 hours. But it was fun. I had a blast. Good group of guys fished it. I couldn't be happier, man. It's worth the lack of sleep that I've gotten over the past few days.
I don't know how to look up big bass on Fishing Chaos. I apologize. I'll do better. But I wanted to try to see big bass for the day. On Turning X at the bottom, it just throws it up there. Right. If anyone knows, tell me in the chat, and I'll go find it and throw it on the screen. I'll tell you what, and this is for both of y'all, both tournaments. I've said this before on the podcast, but I always look at the middle of the pack to see how the lake was really fishing, to know if it was, that one guy hammered them or did everybody catch them and he just caught the big ones. And if you go down here, people are in 30th place with 80 inches of smallmouth on day two, and 40th place on day one for you. Then you go to Sam Rayburn, and all the way down there. Let's see if I can get the full standings up. Same thing on Sam Rayburn. I think out of the 115 people, 3/4, if not more, had limits on both days. People made big moves on day two, so both lakes were fishing great. I know they were both obviously completely different, but why do you think both fish so well this time of the year right now?
You want to go ahead and start, Brian? That's a good question.
Sure. Man, Rayburn's just one of those lakes. If you watch any videos on that lake in normal part of the year, it's got thousands of boats on it all the time. Doing a little research when I could on YouTube, there was one guy that had like a 35-pound limit out there, and he starts off in a cove, and you're looking one direction, and there's 6 boats, within 80 yards, and then the boat turns 90 degrees, and there's 5 more boats within 80 yards the other direction. That's the way it is on Rayburn, and he caught 35 pounds, with that much pressure around him. So I think Rayburn just has the numbers, has those fish all the time. It's you've guys seen it. People pull 40+ pound limits out of there. And it's a huge lake, has a ton of fish. Obviously if you're going to have a flooded lake, the springtime is the best time to have it happen, or early summer. So I think it was just, a mix of everything. Rayburn being a good lake, the water being up, no pressure. I think a lot of factors involved.
Let me say something about that, because I talked to one guy that I ran into in a bass boat, because I only ran into one.
Wow.
And they said it was the most bizarre thing to see that lake basically vacant. We had the lake to ourselves pretty much.
It was awesome. It really was.
Yeah.
That's probably a once in a lifetime deal.
It couldn't have been more perfect. Honestly, I was worried about it, because I was like, man, the ramps are going to be closed. We're all going to be packed into 2 or 3 ramps, and it's just going to be tough. But the water access was wide open. the cove or the creek that I fished, I mean, it had 3 different little dirt roads that you can get to the water and launch. I expected it to have none. So there was a lot of places for everybody to kind of spread out. I don't know how it was around you guys, but I think only 2 kayakers the whole weekend got within 100 yards of me.
Yeah, I didn't see any.
So
We launched together, but I never saw him.
I launched with Christine. Well, I launched an hour after Christine on day 1 down a little pig trail. She was the only other kayaker that I saw. And day 2, I launched an actual ramp with another female kayaker named Wesley Gray. That's her, Jeff, correct?
Yeah,
and she was the only other kayaker that I saw. Like, so 2 people the entire tournament. That's I don't know of any tournament that I've ever been around less people than that. It was awesome. Hats off to Hobie and AJ for doing their homework and sticking to the guns and not calling that tournament off. You know, when you're seeing all the flood stuff, how much water there was, I was picturing like what I ran into here today, like flash floods, like roads closed, you know, dangerous conditions. That was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was freaking awesome. It was perfect. Good job.
Well, like Jeff was saying, I expected a chocolate milk. You know, I was trying to get an idea. I think somebody posted on the BOS page about the water being up in the trees, and you looked at the water clarity, and it was just the perfect, you know, slight stain. And then I got out there on Friday, and I ran a crankbait in the water, and it's 3 feet down, and I could still see it pretty good. So it had that tannin, you know, stain to it, but it was still really clear. And man, I'm so glad it was like that. I love fishing muddy water, but you know, when the water's got some clarity to it,
if you want some muddy water, I got a lot of it.
I saw a picture from Rolando, man, and that water at Possum Kingdom right now is crazy. It's like tan colored.
There's like 1 inch of visibility. Chocolate milk doesn't do that. This water is thick. You can walk on it.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, Brandon, you already kind of touched on why St. Clair was fishing so good. Before you talk about that, you kind of go into more detail on that. Let me throw this picture up. Somebody found the big bass for that tournament up there. And it's actually my old town teammate caught it.
Get off this old town stuff, Jeff.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his last name, but yeah. Look at that giant, 21 3/4. Ryan Matilwitz.
It's pretty.
My apologies.
I bet that one.
Yeah, it's just you know, I always kind of attribute Lake St. Clair's success to you can fish. By the way, can you hear me? I had to take the earbuds out.
Yeah. Perfect.
I attribute Lake St. Clair's success to you can fish how you want to fish. There's so many fish per acre on St. Clair. If you right now want to go out and fish deep and throw a swim bait, you're going to catch fish. If you want to fish shallow, throw a square bill, you're going to catch fish. You want to wing around a tube and just do wind drifts all day. Guess what? You're going to catch fish. There's just so many fish per acre. And that's why when the elites come to town, the Bassmaster Elite Series, you look down in 50th places touching with 17, 18 pounds. You know, that's a limit of 18, 19-inch fish. It's an incredible fishery. It's an embarrassment of riches. A lot of real big fish. You don't too often see 7-pound fish, but if you have a big tournament with over 50 guys, somebody's weighing in. There's going to be several 6-pounders weighed in. So it's just ever since the gobies come into the lake, and it's just been incredible. I mean, the fish are fat. Post-spawn fish recover pretty quickly. They don't go into the same funk that you'll find on other inland smallmouth lakes. It's just you can catch fish. If you can find them, you can catch them all year long out here. And it's this week the guys didn't have too much trouble finding them. And as I mentioned before, if you're struggling to find smallmouth, go beat the seawalls, go beat the canals, and you're going to put up, you might be able to touch 90 with largemouth. It's a cool fishery. A lot of fish. You can fish how you want to. It'll make anybody feel special on the right day. I'll tell you that much.
Rayburn was on the bucket list, and St. Clair's definitely on my bucket list too. So got Rayburn checked off. Yeah. Now I got to make that long trip up north.
That's it.
You followed on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Ha! You better get ready, boy. We're gonna have a good time down there.
I can't wait.
That's good. That's gonna be a great tournament, I think.
Anybody watching, please, the last 10 minutes or so, 10 or 15 minutes here, we want to take questions from y'all. I'm going to try to go back and find them. got some people on YouTube. I'm assuming Raw Exposure is John Allen. He doesn't have his name in there.
I mean, it's got to be one of the Allens. I don't know who else would be exposing themselves. Clifton, yes, to answer your question from earlier, Texas has gotten me over a barrel a couple times since I've been here. One of them was thanks to your brother's shenanigans last night in Plano. If you guys ever see John Allen talking trash on KBN, John Allen is really like that in real life, like 24/7, like talking trash to everybody. Our waitress brought us our tab without asking for it or before we got our second drink, just to send us out because he was so annoying. We got to watch the fight with some random ladies that were here from Africa. John said he would be their boyfriend, and they let us share the reserved table to watch the fight last night. It was a lovely stop, and then I got here this morning, and of course, I think we got like 5 inches of rain first thing this morning and a big thunderstorm. So the first 3 roads that I went to trying to get to the ramp were flooded over. And finally on the third one, I was just like, man, I'm going to drive through. I asked the dude, I was like, is it cool? Like, am I going to get arrested or something if I if I drive through this? He's like, nah, go ahead and give it a shot, man. So it's been a good time. Good old Texas.
Got some comments coming in. Joey Randall, high water isn't always dirty. You're right. Rayburn filled up slow, I guess, and it was just like a big old swimming pool out there.
I think because it's settled. You know, Rayburn's not a ton of current. Rayburn's got a tiny little dam on it, so it's kind of just like a holding tank. Is what it felt like.
Yeah. But it's a giant lake too.
Yeah.
Larry Hill's got a question for Brandon. And he used the wrong word. He should have said, "Do brown fish go wide dick open on a catchboard?" But he said, "Yo, ape shouldn't have."
Yes.
Yeah. All these marks on the palm, all these cuts, those are from the brown fish. As soon as they hit the board, it's game over. The 21 and a quarter that I caught, I put it on the board, one hand on the fish. It's cooperating nice. Camera up, brand new iPhone 12, 13, whatever the new iPhone is. It flops up, hits my net, brings my net over, knocks over my phone out of my hand. I bear hug the fish. Phone gets cracked. I mean, they're incredible. They hit the board. They hit the board, and it's just it's all bets are off. You know, I got a trick where I'll try to keep them in the water until I go right to the board with them. But it's like you got to be quick with your pitchers. There's not a whole lot of time. You know, there's not a whole lot of time to. Man, I wish he was a quarter inch longer. It's you get your pitcher and you get the fish back because they're not cooperative at all.
That's awesome.
And do those smallmouth have that trick where they lift their nose up just enough to get over the fence and then just flick like that and just go right over the side?
Oh, it's so this is I've been fishing. I bought my first kayak about 13 months ago. I fished my first tournament last August. My second tournament ever was the Michigan State Championship up on Grand Traverse Bay, and I had like a 18 3/4 on the board, and I got a little hog trough, lime green hog trough at the time, and I'm on top of the world. I just caught a like 18-inch fish, put it on the board. It spines me, flops over. That was my limit fish, and just right back in the drink. And I still have the picture of the fish's tail as it's going back in the drink. And they're mean, man, but that's what makes them fun. You don't know how many times you say to yourself, you hook into one, and it just go on an impressive run. You'd be like, "This is the fish I need for it to come up and be 16.5 inches and just make you look like a fool." And then, you get kind of angry with them. It's like, all right, this would be fun if I'm fun fishing. Just get in the boat so I can get you back and catch another one. But
The fish at Rayburn absolutely shocked me how hard they were fighting. In practice, I hooked into 3 or 4 fish, and I was like, that's a 5-pounder, and it would come up and it was a 17. And I'm like, what the? There's no way. I mean, they were pulling drag, and it blew my mind how hard those fish were fighting.
Dude, I had a couple 14 and 15s pull like it was a big time coal for me, and they were not.
It was nuts.
What else we got coming through here? Matthew Bissell, by the way, I haven't been wearing sunscreen for like 5 days now. I got a text coming your way, buddy. You just like.
Yeah, hey, it was supposed to rain every day, and it never did while we were out there on the water. So we got.
I don't know. Can you guys see that? Those tan lines?
You got the two-tone going on. That's nice.
If I wear short sleeves at a restaurant or something, people look at me like I've got something wrong with me. But I wear too many long sleeve shirts when I fish, and it's The guys
Yeah,
will like me for it, but I'd rather be comfortable than sunburnt.
Yes, sir.
I got these NRS fishing shirts. They have the built-in buff and hood, but they also have a built-in hand cover with the thumb holes. That is the best shirt I've ever worn in my life. It's so soft. It's super soft. Yeah, I mean, I have no affiliation with NRS. I actually won one in the first Cats event this year, and I was like, sure, I'll give it a shot. And it's like an $80 shirt, and I went out and bought like 2 more because I was like, this thing's perfect. I mean, the hood stays up. I have a Columbia that has the hood on it, and it's constantly blown off my head. The NRS one stays up, and it's it's a great shirt, especially to save your hands.
I've got a question.
Brian,
is there a solution for the gap between the end of your long pants and your shoes? Because I've got sunburned ankles like you wouldn't believe, just in the front of my ankles. I mean, they are blistered up. There's no kind of like onesie kind of fishing pants you can slide on.
You can probably find yourself a nice onesie that you can go out and wear. I think my solution is I'm just going to wear gloves for the night. I got a tournament coming up in 2 weeks. I'm just going to wear gloves.
Even it out.
Yeah, try to even it out.
Yeah. Let's see. We had another question for St. Clair. Are pedal drives necessary in lakes like St. Clair or bigger fisheries? Even say Rayburn, it's a big fishery. You guys think pedal drives are necessary?
I think pedal drives are necessary everywhere because if you like to fish,
everywhere, it's a game changer.
A bow mount trolling motor, unless you have a bow mount trolling motor, I wouldn't even consider a paddle kayak. No offense.
Yeah. There's been a lot of guys in our local clubs that have won with a paddle kayak, but man, if you can win a tournament on a paddle kayak, you could blow everyone away on a pedal. You could have done better on a pedal. You know,
it sucks having a paddle. Like, let's be honest, it's miserable. There's nothing fun about that to me.
Well,
I'm gonna pause this camera real quick.
Like you mentioned in fishing offshore, St. Clair, there are no wind breaks. There's no you can tuck up against this. You're in a bowl, and if that wind's coming any kind of south or north, you're gonna get. You know, if you're in a paddle kayak, it's going to be miserable, man. It's at least with a pedal, you can hold yourself in a spot. You know, you're constantly pedaling to hold yourself on a spot up against the wind. But like I said, anybody who wins on St. Clair with a paddle kayak would absolutely have every ounce of my respect because you earned it. You did something very special. And that's not to say that you can't go out and do like wind drifts, like I mentioned earlier. Just go around, drag around tube, and luck into 5 good ones. But it'd be an anomaly to go out and do consistently well out of a paddle.
I like it.
If you guys hear any screaming in the background, my wife is going absolute. I'm going to use the other guy's term, ape shit in the living room. The Razorbacks are playing. It's bottom of the 8th, 2-2 in Nebraska to get to the College World Series. So she's going nuts in there.
Okay, all right, support.
We might get a little woo pig suey in the background or something. I don't know.
Okay, all right. We are about to go get dinner at a place called Boondocks.
Oh, okay.
If anybody's in town for the PK event, we're gonna have a little shindig over there later. Swing by.
Good deal. Hey, and let me tell everyone. Ryan makes fun of me a lot for being an old guy, but I stayed out with him on Friday night before the tournament until the wee hours of almost 10 o'clock. Almost 10 o'clock, and I felt it the next day, but I tell you what, it was one of the funnest times I've had at the tournament, hanging out with those boys. I mean, it was a good time, so appreciate you putting up with it.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing. Like in these tournaments, like if you can get a few people together and go out and just let loose, and I don't advise doing it the night before the tournament, but if that's how it works out, then that's how it works out. But make sure you put that on your list.
Yeah, ask David Cruz how it turned out. If you see David.
Ask Billy Bowden how it turned out, who didn't wake up till 9:30 the next day. Good job,
that
Billy.
might have affected his day one score. So,
it's as seen on TV out here. He'll learn. He learned the hard way.
Ashley's in the comments. Don't apologize, Ashley. Let her rip in there. I've got the play-by-play up on the other screen. 2-run homer to left field, Arkansas. Let's go.
All right.
Let's go. Well, we'll let you get to dinner, Ryan. We'll let these boys out of here. I know they're tired like we are. We'll be cheering for you on Possum Kingdom, man. Hope you can bring it home over there. Yeah. And Brandon, congrats once again.
Early prediction to cash a check is the old man Terry Golden. I think you may see Terry show out in this one here, so keep your eyes peeled.
Let's go. Oh, Brandon, one of your medals fell off the couch, dropping like flies
Oh
back there.
no!
Yeah.
It's all good.
I have to get it.
It's all good. It's all good. But man, I know you're beat, so we appreciate you taking the time to come on here with us and visit. It was a great interview and a fun time, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on,
it.
guys. It's good talking to you guys. Hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, for sure. And we
Keep
somehow
winning,
we lost.
Keep winning. We'll keep bringing you back.
Somehow we lost Brian.
All
He
right.
said he was pausing his camera and he disappeared, but that's all right. I'll get with him and thank him for coming on too.
The old Irish goodbye. Good move, Brian.
That's
Good
right.
move.
All right, boys. Hey,
All right, y'all take care. I'm gonna go play in this mud hole for a minute.
we're out of here. Cheer Arkansas home. Here we go.
Yep. Good luck, you guys, next event.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.